want to do a short video. Yeah, so about that comment about this being a short video, well, there have been a couple times where recently when folks have said, well, what do you use tool-wise? What do you use lubricant-wise? And it's been a while, so I thought, hey, this is going to be a short video. I'll just add some of these bits and pieces into it. Well, 1 plus 2, and pretty soon we had 7, 8, 9. It just kind of grew on me. So I do apologize. It's not a short video, and I'm sure you noticed that when you looked at the timestamp. But it's not my intention to use hyperbole, stretch the truth. And with that being said, back to the show. On another accessory repair. I hope you guys aren't getting tired of these. But here we have a special billboard that I purchased, and I actually want to gift this to somebody. And when it arrived today, here the motor assembly was separated from the body, and there's just a chamber in there. This fits down in there, pretty simple, and then it's got a place for the air to go through, come back around, and that causes the whistle. I found 2 screws in the bottom, and it looks like I should have 3 more, and those are nowhere to be found. So anyhow, taking one issue at a time, I have my little transformer here, and I thought, well, let's just see how well this thing works. So I'm actually have it hooked up to accessory power, the full voltage, and watch this. It hums, it wants to go, but as you can see, it's just getting hung up. So I'm not exactly sure what the deal is. I have a suspicion, and my suspicion is that there's a piece down here that's a little hard to see. Looks like it has a group screw in it. I think maybe that needs to be adjusted. If not, it could just be that there's a lack of lubrication in here. So what my plan is to go ahead and take the screws out just like we would any other locomotive motor. There's 2 screws at the back here that hold the brush plate on. And again, you always want to be a little bit careful when you're doing this, because doing it this way is advisable, because the springs are under tension in here pushing against the brushes. So when you remove the screws that hold everything together, those springs are under less tension, and they have less chance of flying versus pulling the bracket or the connections off the back. That's a good way to lose springs, which unfortunately I know that from experience. So don't do what I've done. Alright, so now we've got brushes here, 2 of them. That's always a good sign. We have 2 springs. That's a good sign. Never know. And then we have our field assembly here. All of that comes off nicely. Now we have our armature. Commutator actually looks pretty black, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that up as well. And then there is this piece. Okay, that is not a group screw. Interesting. It just is a partially drilled hole. Okay. Well, that's not super helpful. I'm not sure that I want to just pull this section off for fear of breaking it. But I think what I will do is take a little bit of my food grade grease. Again, this is a lightweight grease. Molykote is the name of it. And this has come in handy more often than not. And what I like to do is just take a small screwdriver like this, grab a small amount, obviously with oil, you can always pretty quickly get too much, so it's better to start with a very small amount and add more if needed. And this is the challenge. I don't know how I'm going to get it on between the, I don't know what you call this, impeller, I guess, impeller and the frame, the cast frame here. But I'm thinking that will, again, there's some resistance, and I'm trying to get that resistance down to help the motor spin. The other thing I want to do while this is all apart is put a little bit of lubrication. I'm using my wall oil, and someone suggested trying this one time, and it's a really good oil. It's a lightweight oil, and a little bit goes a long way. So if you're looking for good lubricants, you've just seen two that I favor, and I'm sure there are more options out there, and so I'm not trying to be exclusive or promote any certain brand, but I'm just saying the ones that I've shown you here work really good. And the wall oil, which I don't know if you're familiar with electric clippers, but Wall makes electric clippers, and there's a gentleman that said a fellow he knew that is now deceased used wall oil when he did his fly repairs, and so there is somewhat of a tradition. And so I'm getting alcohol on my Q-tip, and I'm just going to rub the front of the commutator and get some of the black off. It's actually not that bad, but obviously if you're wanting to get the best operation possible, it helps to have things polished or at least cleaned up. So go ahead and get some of the worst of it removed. Okay. And while I'm on it, I mentioned this before too. Isopropyl alcohol is a great cleaning detergent. The unfortunate thing is, last time I bought this bottle, I didn't pay attention, and as you can see, it says 70% versus 90%. If you can, get the higher concentration, because it just means more alcohol, less water. And if you're interested in doing cleaning, then you want alcohol, not water. Now, I did put a drop of oil on the oil wick back here, but I'm going to go ahead and take my wall oil, and again, because this tends to come out pretty big drops, I'm going to use my little screwdriver here to meter what I get, because I just want a tiny bit on here. I don't want much. There we go. Okay, now what you're going to see me do is actually partially reassemble the brush plate here, and after I get the screws started, now I'm going to remove these. I'm going to reassemble the, oops, almost forgot my washers. Shouldn't forget your washers. Sure would be interested in knowing why it is on accessories, it seems like, especially Gilbert tended to use these red plastic brush plates. Why did they use the red brush plate on motors or on accessory motors, but obviously you want to put your brush in before your springs? Apparently I'm not able to talk and do steps of operation here at all. But yeah, so why did they use a red plastic for their accessory motors? Was it just to help their shop people know, hey, or assembly line people know, This is an accessory motor, not a locomotive motor. I don't know. If any of you have an idea, I would love to hear it. Just one of those thoughts that suddenly hit me. And I remember on my coal loader that these are just a little bit on the loose side. I'm going to just give them a nice little squeeze. My coal loader, I was checking it because it was, when I purchased it, it had been either never used or not used in probably 40 years or more. And I wanted to lubricate it, and I just noticed how you could see the sparks pretty easily through the red brush cover. Okay, so we've done our lubrication. This is live here, folks. I have no idea what's going to happen, but we'll find out. Well, the good news is it's moving better than it was, but still not great. Next question is, can I lightly adjust these screws at the back? Because sometimes I've found that there's just a little bit of a tension or a torque that happens because the armature and the field aren't quite lined up correctly. Wow. Yeah, this is not really doing much. Okay, I don't want to get things too hot. So, all right, let me get that tightened back up again. It's definitely looser than it was, so that's encouraging. I think what I'm going to do now is get a little bit more aggressive. I'm going to pry the impeller back carefully. I'm going to drop some of my wall oil down in there because it just seems like there is some resistance, and obviously it's okay. That is freer. So now I'm going to try it again and see if we get better motion. Okay, that's better. Still not whistling, but okay. What I'm doing here is just, again, adjusting the screws a tiny bit to see if I can get better RPMs. It's trying. Okay, that's better. Okay, for just a moment I had really good RPMs. And one thing I'm noticing here is this field, okay, now we're getting some better RPMs, but it looks almost like the whole armature needs to be back a little bit. Oh, now we're getting better RPMs. Maybe this is just a situation where the motor has sat for so long it didn't want to run very well. Okay, so now if we, I was curious if I stopped and started it, how quickly it would rev back up. still have a little bit of warbling, and if I tighten the screws all the way down, it just doesn't, things are just a little bit torqued. I'm still adjusting the screw in the back just to see where the sweet spot is. All right. Okay, so the good news is the motor's working. And I got a bath of lubricants there. So the next test is to go ahead and put the assembly back inside the housing, even though I've only got 2 screws. I have a feeling I'm going to have to pick up some more screws because I'm guessing 2 is not going to be enough. Okay. Here's another handy tool that might have been a while since I talked about this, but this, and to be honest with you, I don't even know where this screwdriver came from. I've had it for years and years and years, but what's cool about it is it has this little piece at the bottom, and if you squeeze it together, see how those prongs come apart? So what this does is this gives me a handy way of actually hanging on to screws, so I can put the screw on the bottom, just push down, and those fingers spread apart, and look, now it's stuck. Now I know you can get magnetic screwdrivers and whatnot that kind of do the same thing, but I've just always thought this is so handy, and it really is handy. You know, trying to take screws out of an release the shell from an alcove, for example, or any of the diesels. You know, it's really hard to get some of those screws out. And then once you get them out, it's hard to get them back in. So this is a really handy tool for using on flyer repairs. Okay, so I've put 2 screws back on, and now for the real test. Let's see what we get. Not annoying at all. All right, so should you happen to come across one of these whistling billboards, and as you saw, you had a motor that didn't want to move very well, here's a couple very simple and easy maintenance suggestions. You saw what I did with the lubricant. You saw how I made adjustments with the brush screws or the motor screws. I was kind of curious about something. I've heard how much the output of transformers impacts accessories, and you know, you've been watching this simple rebuild, repair, refurbishment of this Whistling Billboard. And I've been using this, I believe it's a 75 watt number 1.5B transformer. So again, it kind of, the motor kind of spools up, and just wasn't really happy with the way it was working. So I thought, well, I've got a couple other transformers, why don't I try one of them? So this is a 15B. And I was thinking, again, memory serves, that this is 100 to 150 versus the other one at 75. So check out this difference now. It spools up, and again, you don't have a good comparison from one to the other, but it spools up much more quickly now, and actually gets to the point where it's annoying. Yeah, that's annoying. So, food for thought: if you have accessories, and you have the opportunity to put a bigger transformer in, and obviously there are bigger ones than this yet, if you want, you know, best performance out of them, consider using a bigger transformer. And there you go, top tip of the day. Thanks again for stopping by today. I hope you found this video on a accessory, especially this Whistling Billboard, to be one that you are able to use, and also the lubricants that I shared with you, and some of the tools, techniques. I hope you find that helpful. There's a lot of great flyer stuff out there. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of TLC. And until next time, we'll see you. God bless and take care. Bye-bye.